Imagine this situation with me. On Christmas Eve, an 8-year-old girl heard the door of their house knocking, so she got up to open the door, and when she opened it she saw a person dressed as Santa Claus and was happy that he brought her a gift. But before she could do anything, Santa Claus or the person dressed as Santa Claus pulled out a gun and killed the little girl, and the events that happened after this were much uglier. It's true that I told you to imagine this situation, but unfortunately it is a real murder. But why and how did it happen? To understand all the details we have to go back to the year 1963, specifically to an area called San Fernando in California. A person named Bruce Pardo was born, and because his father was an engineer he was supposed to specialize in the same field as his father, but he decided to study computer science, and Boris was a very popular person because according to his friends he was very funny, and the situation his friends remember the most was a situation that happened to him on his graduation day from university. When he was going to receive it, I saw him take with him a full-sized inflatable doll and disguise himself in it when receiving the certificate. Of course, this happened in the 80s, so it was normal, meaning people considered it funny, so I don't think it was funny either. Immediately after graduating, he got a job as a software engineer, and in the company he worked in, he met a colleague from his work colleagues and they got married in 1988. So when you hear this, you'll think that everything is fine, but when you know that at his wedding, he left the guests and the wife he married and ran away. He ran away on his wedding day, and after that, he spent his life as a loner. Time passed and we reached the year 2001. And in that year Bruce met a girl named Ellen and decided to get engaged to her. Ellen had a son who was about a year or 13 months old, and when he got engaged to her he was supposed to agree to her son being with her and he was supposed to take care of him as he would take care of her. There is some information I would like to clarify here. The boy's name was Bruce Matthew, meaning Little Bruce, so I am not sure if Bruce is really his son or his wife's son. Unfortunately, one day this child was involved in an accident in their house and fell into the pool in the house and was about to drown, but when they pulled him out of the pool and helped him, they were surprised that his injury was very serious because of the water and the child was paralyzed and became hemiplegic. When Bruce heard this talk, instead of standing with them and helping them, he disappeared. He left the house and ran away and no one knows anything about him. After 3 years, meaning in 2004, Bruce met another girl named Sylvia Ortiz. Sylvia had 3 children and she admired Bruce a lot and she used to tell people about his charm and his good looks and things like that. Sylvia tried to convince him to let them stay at home for 2 months only because her little girl had 2 months left in school and would finish. But Bruce refused and gathered all their belongings and threw them out into the street and threw them out. When they went to court to complete the divorce case, the judge ruled that Bruce must pay $1,800 every month to Sylvia as alimony and some other items such as a wedding ring. They also had a dog at home. These will stay with Sylvia and she will pay her $1,800 every month. A few months later, Bruce quit his job, for which he was receiving large sums of money, because the employer felt that he was recording overtime hours without working. In other words, he was a swindler at work. His whole life was a scam. After all these things happened to him, people expected his personality to change, but what happened was that all the people around him said that he was happy and didn't think anything of it, and was always joking and laughing as if nothing had happened to him. But what people didn't know was that Bruce was actually changing, but without showing it to people. Not only was he changing, but he was also planning a very evil plan. By October 2008, Bruce bought 5 types of weapons, and after the weapons, he bought a Santa Claus suit. Of course, during this period, the divorce case was still ongoing, and on December 18, 2008, the case reached its end, and the judge made Bruce sign a paper stating that he would give Sylvia a check for $10,000 and divorce her. The strange thing is that Bruce agreed and signed the paper. About 4 days after the incident, Bruce got into his car, took the weapons he bought and the Santa Claus suit he bought, got into his car and went to his wife Sylvia's family's house. It was Christmas Eve with them, meaning the whole family was gathered, grandfather, grandmother, grandchildren and even neighbors, and they said the number of people in the house reached 30 people. When Bruce arrived home, he knocked on the door and an 8-year-old girl opened it. The first thing he did was shoot her in the face and enter the house and start killing everyone he saw. Of course, at that moment, Everyone in the house panicked and started running and trying to escape. Fortunately, the mother of the little girl who opened the door was able to take her daughter and escape from the house. When she left the house, she called 911 and reported the incident. Even though Bruce was wearing a suit as if he was disguised, the mother recognized his features and knew that he was Bruce. Unfortunately, at that time, Bruce did not just kill, but he brought a flamethrower with him. After killing the people in the house, he turned on the flamethrower and destroyed the entire house, and then he got into his car and fled. When he escaped, he went to his brother's house, who had the key with him, and entered it. At the time Bruce entered the house, there was no one there because his brother was also celebrating Christmas, but when he returned home at 3:30 in the morning, he was shocked to find his brother's body inside the house. There were bullets and a gun in his arms, so when his brother told Bruce to inform the police, and the police arrived at the house, they knew that his death was a suicide, meaning that after he had done all these misfortunes, he killed himself. Unfortunately, Bruce died, which means that they would not be able to prosecute him for what happened. If you think that the case is over, then you are wrong. Bruce had parked his car in front of the house, and the police knew that it was the car he went into the house where he committed the crime, so they opened the car to search it and take evidence from it. That as soon as they opened it, they saw the Santa Claus suit he was wearing, and as soon as they tried to take the suit, the car exploded, meaning Bruce had booby-trapped the car, and when they moved the suit, the car exploded and destroyed all the evidence in it. The number of people who died in the family home was 9, the first of whom was his ex-wife Sylvia, her mother, his parents, 2 of her young brothers, her sister's wives, her sister, and her nephew. Although Bruce died, they did not stop investigating the matter and started searching everywhere that might have evidence about Bruce. Through the investigations, they came up with a theory that says that Bruce was not planning to commit suicide, because they saw in front of his house a rental car parked other than his own car, and it had plane tickets and a lot of money, meaning they said that Bruce was planning to flee the country after doing this. But when they took his body to the forensic doctor, they discovered that he had third-degree burns because of the fire he had started, and they said that most likely because of the pain he was in from the burns, he couldn't bear to carry out his plan in the end and escape, and if he went to the hospital or any other place, they would arrest him and imprison him, so he decided to commit suicide. And here we have reached the end of the story. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to like and subscribe.